Hey there, I'm Kathie Morrissey with the Character Corner. I want to talk to you today about 5 steps you can take to overcome and handle your anger biblically. Anger is a common problem that I hear about from moms. Many moms have come to me at conferences and they've been in tears as they've told me, I feel so guilty because I get so angry with my kids and I lose it and I start yelling and saying unkind things and I respond wrong. I'm a bad example and I determine that I'm going to do better the next day, but it happens again. And so they not only feel guilty, but they feel defeated and discouraged. They think there's no way I can ever overcome this problem. First of all, let me tell you that is a lie that the devil wants you to believe. God can help you in your areas of weakness. He invites you to come to him for strength. He gives you biblical tools to help you in your areas of weakness. So don't believe that lie. Realize that anger is a common emotion. All of us feel anger at times. What makes anger bad is how you react to it. And rather than react to it and in the heat of the moment do things you shouldn't, your desire should be to respond in a purposeful way. Of course, that's much easier said than done, but that's really where the problem with our anger comes. The Bible tells us, be ye angry and sin not. So in other words, it's not the being angry that is the problem. We sin because of what we do in response or our reactions to that anger. So I want to talk to you about some tips that will help you, but first, I also just wanted to mention real quick why it's important to get your anger under control. Obviously, it's not pleasing to God when we respond wrong. It's a sin, but also think about what it's doing in your family and your relationships. Anger damages the relationship with your children. It pushes your children away from you. It makes them close their heart to you. And when you've lost your child's heart, you no longer have that place of influence where you can encourage and shape their values and point them to God and just influence them the way that God wants you to. So that's a big danger that anger brings. And often also anger causes bitterness in your children because you keep responding to them with anger, and then it just kind of builds up and builds up where they get bitter about that because they feel you're always mad at them. So it's important to realize that anger is very damaging and something that you want to work on so that you can have a peaceful home and be the calm, happy mom that you really envisioned yourself being when you began as a mom. So first tip is acknowledge the struggle. If you have an anger problem and it's a regular one that you're really dealing with, admit it and go to God and just say, God, this is a problem that I'm struggling with and I need your help. I've heard it said that the first step to solving a problem is admitting that you have one. So admit that you do have a problem with anger. Number 2, always go back and apologize to your children. When you've lost your temper with them and reacted in an angry, wrong, sinful way, always go back and admit that to them. As soon as you're calm and you realize, oh my goodness, what did I just do? Or you start feeling really bad about it, go to them and with a humble spirit admit to them, I was so wrong in how I just responded to you and what you did. It doesn't matter what you did, even if it was wrong, my response was wrong and I want you to forgive me. And that teaches your children that you're still growing, that you're still learning. It also encourages your children to keep trying in their areas of struggle, and it also encourages them to work on their anger if they have picked up a little bit of that anger from you in your parenting and your relationship with them. So always apologize so you can keep that relationship restored. Number 3, ask yourself what your triggers are. Sit down and think about the last few times you've gotten anger and see if there's a common factor there. Is it always when you're putting the kids to bed? You're tired, they're being difficult, and you just want to get them to bed so you can go crash. Is it because they're disobedient and you get tired of the conflict, trying to get them to do what they're supposed to do? Figure out what triggers your anger, because that's very important. When you recognize that, then you can set up a plan on how to deal with those situations that are triggering your anger. Number 4, and this actually relates to the one I just gave, is to have an anger plan. Have actions that you'll take in the heat of your anger. For example, when your children are being disobedient and you find yourself getting angry, realize, okay, rather than getting angry, I need to have a training time. We need to work on obedience and calmly say, hey, you know what? That was not an obedient response. Let's try that again. Here's what I'd like to hear from you. When I tell you to do something, you need to obey right away with a yes ma'am or yes mom and a smile and do what you were asked to do. And practice the responses that you want from them and work on the obedience problem. And that way you're responding rather than reacting to their disobedience. If you find that fatigue is a factor for you, then when you're tired, be very aware of it and force yourself to be calm and quieter in your responses to your children. But set up an anger plan where you have steps that you'll take to calm yourself down and get out of that red anger zone into the green zone of safety where you're under control. And then number 5, practice preventative steps that will help lessen the frequency of your angry outbursts at your children. And this kind of relates to what I've already said. If it's because of disobedience, practice those steps of training so that it's not happening as often. If it's fatigue, don't let yourself stay up quite as late at night. Or when you find yourself getting tired, give your kids a little bit more grace, or even warn them saying, Mom's really tired, I need you to help me right now, I need your cooperation. Take preventative steps though so that you don't fall into the danger zone and start responding with that angry tone or angry outburst that you're trying to avoid. So those are just a few ideas to help you in overcoming your